I come from a theatrical background that says the show must go on. Go on it will. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, for another mighty monthly Muse? This month is going to benefit the Alberti Flea Circus. And this is the Jim Alberti Theater in Highland Park, New Jersey. Fasten your seatbelts, gentlemen. It's going to be quite a ride. I have been working on this theater since the pandemic began. Had the opportunity to tell Jim Alberti that it was named for him as we listened to Pete Weiss and the Weistronauts. This show is featuring Chris Chandler. That's me. Here we go. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Chris Chandler. We are indeed in the Jim Alberti Theater. And are you ready for your mighty monthly Muse? I've got a good show planned for you. For those of you on Zoom, if you can, if you're able to, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's hear a round of applause, because God knows we need some applause. And if you're in a quiet place, leave yourself unmuted so we can hear applause and laughter through the night. Just give yourself some applause right now, because we need it for even making our way here to February the 5th. Friday, February the 5th. We are here. We have a great show planned for you. We've got special guests. We've got Dan Byrne. We've got Michelle Sellers. We've got Daryl Hobbs, who is the son of the namesake of this very theater, and proceeds from this show are going to the Alberti Flea Circus. This is the Jim Alberti Theater. The proceeds are going to the Alberti Flea Circus. There's information about that in the gallery, and we'll talk about that in a bit. We're going to have a tribute to my heroine, Ann Feeney, this evening. And we've also got a very special guest. Please put your hands together. We're just going to get this started. So great to be working once again with my music partner. Coming to you from Eugene, Oregon. Please welcome Sean Shanahan. Plato that said knowing yourself is the basis of all wisdom, but I say knowing yourself just justifies my persecution complex. Now, my persecution complex comes about because I am a performer, and vicariously I hang out with other performers. And between you and me, I am sick of all these people with their massive egos who have no interest in me. They look at me as if I have failed, but I'm here to say to you, I have not failed. I am the grand discoverer of a new way that does not work. Someone should make me a plaque. I'm working on a building. I'm swinging that hammer, getting my reward. It's a hell of a building. One hell of a building. For my road. Oh, for my road. I mean, to me, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and actually getting different results. Like, take the wheel. They say that the wheel is humankind's greatest invention, but I'm here to say that it is not the wheel, it was the axle. But even that idea was once feared. I mean, can you imagine? The first guy walking through the woods and coming across some kid, and it was definitely a kid, pushing something through the woods with a cart, looking over to his friends and saying, you know, back in my day, we just picked up heavy shit and carried it. Because if you think about it, all human discoveries that we know to be true on this earth were once considered to be taboo. Every single human invention was once thought to be poppycock. All human discoveries at some point were considered to be some threat to some dogma somewhere. Any artistic achievement was smeared as vice, but in fact, all human progress has come about because somebody, somewhere, at some time, refused to bow to authority, but instead bowed to the unstoppable force of ideas. My friends, we could not have come out of the trees. We could not have gone into the trees. We could not have crawled out of the primordial ooze if it were not for the unstoppable force of ideas. And I admit it, sometimes I'm afraid to be rebellious. I was once afraid to face my fears, so I turned my back on them. Because we all have to realize that we are not going to live forever. And I say to you that that is good, because I do not want to live forever. But I do want to help you, help me, help us all build a world that will last forever. After all, one single daydream can change a million realities. I want to dream a new reality. And there is no other way to create a new reality than to dream. So I say, when life feels like a nightmare, wake up, take a nap, dream. And remember that no one out there created this world except for you and me. The Bible has been misinterpreted. The world was not created in 6 days. In fact, the world was not created at all because, my friends, the world is still being created, and not in 6 days, in 3. And yesterday is gone, and tomorrow will never come. So we better get busy, because all we got is today to walk upon this earth, stare into the clouds, and imagine the world's glorious design. Because, my friends, there is no God or forever. And for that, I thank God. I thank God forever. Thank you, Mr. Sean Shanahan from Eugene, Oregon.
He tried to sue the first of that defamation.
Continúa por favor besándolo durante una milla.
I think I'm unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Sean Shanahan, round of applause for him. Oh my God, it's been so long since I've actually done a live show. And this is arguably not arguably, this is definitely the most difficult show I've ever done in my life. I know we were all anxious to get 2020 out of the way, but 2021 has proved to be very difficult. In the past approximately a month, I have lost 2 of my mentors, and I'm going to address them both separately. This show had been set up to be a tribute to my good friend Jim Hobbs, and I'm going to start off, but once it was set up, it happened, and I want to talk about my dear friend Ann Feeney first, and I will talk about her a little bit later as well, a little more in-depthly later. But first, I want to say that on Thursday, I had a great conversation with Anne. She was doing her laundry and a door hit her in the back and she fractured a vertebrae, and she was sent to the hospital where she contracted COVID, and she seemed to be rallying on Thursday. And on Friday, she took a turn for the worse. And a lot of you who are watching this have gathered together songs for her, and her daughter Amy played them round the clock for her, and it seemed that she was rallying. She raised her arms in the air at the end of songs, and she squeezed their hands, and she opened her eyes, and she listened to the music, but she did decide that it was time to go on. When I called her on Thursday, I called the hospital, and I got the receptionist, not the nurse, the receptionist, and I asked to be connected to our dear friend Ann Feeney. And this is a tribute to her spirit, because the receptionist said, "Oh, the woman who sings about organizing the nurses. Yes, I can connect her. We love her." And I found an interview from 2010 with her singing the song that she has been singing round the clock. She was singing round the clock while she was diagnosed with COVID until they put the oxygen mask on her. And I'm pretty sure she sang it with the oxygen mask on. But she's from Pittsburgh. And I think there's no better way to introduce her, because my friend Don White said that this show was some kind of combination between Democracy Now! And Mr. Rogers. And I think that is appropriate. Ann Feeney is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. And let's go to picture. Picture, please bring me Ann Feeney.
Your shows are fun. They don't get this political in your
I know. I think, when people who have never seen me before come to my show, they go, "Oh man, I didn't want to come to this. I thought you were going to be there preaching and whining, and I had such a good time. I didn't know that political music could be this much fun." Yes, it can. Here's a little song from Joan Hill, a naturopath from Seattle. We're nursing as fast as we can. We're running with bandages and bedpans. Our patients are sicker, the discharges are quicker, the reasons are slicker why we can't afford more nurses who are nursing as fast as we can. More cuts in nursing are planned. Our load isn't lighter, but the staffing is tighter, and we're nursing as fast as we can. Your anxiety's legitimate, I'll grant. You've been admitted for a liver transplant. You watch the nurses scurry, everybody's in a hurry. You've just begun to worry that we won't have time for you. Our time is limited, you must understand. We can't do right by you within our budget. Your insurance plan's so tight you can't even spend the night. We've gotta send you home to do the best you can. Meanwhile, we're nursing as fast as we can. We're running with bandages and bedpans. Our patients are sicker, the discharges are quicker, the reasons are slicker why we can't afford more nurses who are nursing as fast as we can. More cuts in nursing are planned. Now our schedule's obnoxious and the pace is preposterous, and we're nursing as fast as we can. I feel I must apologize to you. You messed your bed and had to lie in doo-doo. Ooh, I was very busy, I was running in a tizzy. I over-optimistically thought I'd get back to you, but I had 7 other patients too. One of them was bleeding in his pillow. When priorities were reckoned, it was you who came in second, and first was all that I had time to do. Meanwhile, we're nursing as fast as we can. We're running with bandages and bedpans. Our patients are sicker, the discharges are quicker, the reasons are slicker why we can't afford more nurses who are nursing as fast as we can. More cuts in nursing are planned. Oh, infection is spreading and mistakes we are dreading, and we're nursing as fast as we can. We worry for our patients, yes we do. They come to us much sicker than they used to. We know we need trained nurses, but the bosses watch their purses when it's patient safety versus profit. We know what they do. Nurses who are registered must go. They hire nurses' aides because they're cheaper. We know for patients' sake this could be a grave mistake. It's a chance they take to save a little dough. Meanwhile, we're nursing as fast as we can. We're running with bandages and bedpans. What's in them is stinking, just like management's thinking, as our standards are sinking, while the risks we take are rising, like the salaries for those at the top. This misallocation must stop. Our superfluous superiors sit upon their posteriors in the comfy interiors of their offices and lounges while we're nursing as fast as we can. We must find a way to demand that patients won't be dying cause some corporation's trying to cut nursing as fast as they can. Single payer still the only real plan.
Yes. And Feeney, as lighthearted and as funny as that is, that's not a very funny song.
It nails it. It's any nurse comes up and says, "Oh my God, where did you find that song?"
Ann Feeney in the studio. Ann Feeney's going to be in town this week playing Tuesday evening in Dania Beach at St. Maurice Church. That's Tuesday night at 7 at...
We're back in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, back here in Pittsburgh, back live. I'm actually in Highland Park, New Jersey. As I said, this is one of the hardest shows that I've ever done, but I remember just the notion of Ann in her very last breaths trying to organize the nurses. That's who she was. She's my dear friend, Ann Feeney. And as I said, this was a hard show for me to do, but I am 1000% positive that she has a show must go on mentality as well. And the show must go on. And I would not be right in doing a show on February if I did not address the change in the nation that Ann was anxious to see. And this is a poem about the change in the nation. And please welcome from Highland Park, New Jersey, Chris Chandler. Yes, that's me. Say this, the 21st day of the 21st year in the 21st century be the day that we finally act as adults. 21. It feels like a great weight has lifted. The pimple of puberty has finally burst, and we can all feel the pressure wane on this, the first full day of a new administration. There is a great weight lifted. May the era where adults making adolescent allegations return to the juvenile oblivion from whence it came. This morning, I feel a lighter air has crept through the crannies beneath my window, revealing the curtains drawn back, pulled away, revealing a polite dusting of snow, softening the hard angles of this long wintertide torrent. The world becomes better somehow, but it is not just the monumental changing of the guards that the world has long wanted and now witnessed. The fissures that divide this state, this country, the world, have for a moment become a little closer together. The world, for a moment, is a smaller place and a smaller planet, both scientifically and poetically, is a lighter gravity. It's hard to deny, but deny they will. But again, I say, may the era of allegations introduced as evidence, corroborated with nothing, return to the oblivion from whence it came. The weight that has been lifted is not the absence of some great orange meanie or the presence of some silver senior having to step in and mediate between warring factions. It is that there is an attempt at mediation. An olive branch was worn by a pop star whose operatic orations declared our flag was still there. The ghost of Woody Guthrie drifted down to Mexico to hop a northbound boxcar bound for the border to sing Esta tierra es tu tierra, esta tierra es mi tierra. And the redneck in all of us removed our cowboy hats as we sang a song written by a slave trader at the dawn of his epiphany. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And a skinny black girl, descended from those very same slaves and raised by a single mother, reminded us to close the divide. And as the divide closes, the world becomes a smaller and smaller planet. Both scientifically and poetically, that means a lighter gravity. There is a great weight lifted. Gravity is a hard, unflinching, empirical fact that guides the tides while falsehoods flirt with floods. And today, a collective sigh of relief has been exhaled into our own N95 masks, fogging our glasses, leaving us dizzy, knowing that the high water mark of hogwash was the Al-Qaeda attack on democracy. And we saw falsehood in the full light of day, dancing like the Grateful Dead, gussied up in Maurice Sendak garb, complete with Viking horns and tribal tattoos, chanting QAnon fantasies, a blizzard of bullshit from atop the dais of the Senate chamber of our own soul. And from that vantage point, we saw that the bar set by the Trump era was so low, it actually resembled a tripwire. And both sides of the political divide finally agreed. Let the wild Trumpus in. And so it did. But being the United States of at least we're no longer Donald Trump is not enough. Yes, our new leader has an imperfect record, and we can expect no less than an imperfect future. But for now, I will enjoy the lighter air as I float upon the balloon of hope and trust that our imperfect president believes what he said so perfectly. May we lead, not through the power, not through the example of our power, but through the power of our example.
Woo!
Thank you so much.
Tripwire.
Al-Qaeda.
Being quoted here. It is so hard to make this transition, but to be honest, the past 30 years of my life has been hard to balance the two. I always had one foot in activism and one foot in vaudeville, and originally this broadcast was to be a tribute to the Alberti Theater. I will tell you, and I know I've told the story before, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself to you, but Jim Hobbs was my mentor, and when I was studying stage lighting, and he quit stage lighting at the same time that I did to go on to vaudeville. He created a flea circus that has traveled the world, and it was as good an event as you could possibly see. he took it to festivals, and although he was largely playing the kids stage, he was playing at Bonnaroo and MerleFest and lots of places. And Daryl Hobbs will be, his son will be speaking with us a minute later. But the actual Alberti Theater, not this theater, this was named for him, and the theater that he put together, the Flea Circus, will be traveling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, to Portland, Oregon, to be used as a tool to teach children about vaudeville. And in order to make that happen, and we've been asking for donations for the travel expenses of that. And the place it's going to go is to Juggle Mania. And would you please put your hands together for, in the audience, Reese Thomas, Juggle Mania.
Go!
Thank you, Reese. That is to introduce where the theater will be going, but to talk about where the theater came from. I know that in the audience is Daryl Hobbs. Can we spotlight Daryl?
Hello, Chris. How are you today?
You're not catching me on my best day, Daryl. And
Believe me, it's not a bit. This isn't my best day either. But like I said, thank you for inviting me this evening. To say a few words about my father. When my father first adopted me when I was 7 years old, he was teaching at North Carolina School of the Arts, and
I was his
of
student.
course, oh yes, and I picked up a little bit of lighting design. My father would probably be cringing right now that I'm using a ring light for a Zoom call, but that's just Dad. So the flea circus, basically, when Dad came up with the flea circus, at that point in time, I was 7, 8 years old, around that time frame, and he started. Our first gig was at Jungle Land in Morehead City, where we played at a theme park for a summer. And then we would bounce around to festivals, picking up fares, finally to the point where, he was able, that's how he paid the rent. Being able to go from fairs to festivals, everything from the Georgia National Fair to the Iowa State Fair, Oregon State Fair, Nevada State Fair. He entertained at Ren fairs and such like that. He sat there and he liked opening people's imagination. And he would sit there and he had this whole workshop for newspaper folding that he would do for teachers to sit there and pass on to the kids in their classes and stuff like that. Dad, or Professor Alberti, was always that teacher, whether it would be when he was teaching you lighting design, or he was teaching me how to ride the unicycle or plate spin, or going out to the fairs and festivals, helping him set up the audio and such like that for the shows. One of the things that brought to mind from Jugglemania was the fact that one of the things that Dad taught me was plate spinning, and I look forward to talking to Reese about that.
Well, speaking of such, let's bring Reese into this conversation. Can we bring Reese Thomas, who I also know is in the audience? And hi, Reese.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Hey, Daryl.
Hi, Reese.
You've got your full kit on.
Oh no, these are my pajamas. I'm just lounging while I watch the show.
How do you feel about receiving the Alberti Flea Circus and bringing it up to Portland and teaching kids to the art of vaudeville?
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm itching to play with it. Har. When you first mentioned it, I got Shakespearean. I'm asking myself, to flee or not to flee,
Well, as long as you don't let the moment flee, I think you're good.
Okay. And if all goes well, we'll be on fleek, as they say. But I am looking forward. I'm looking forward to playing with it, and
I'm really thrilled that something that I really wanted to happen is for that flea circus to go to a place that it will be honored and treasured and carry on its name, and carrying on seems to be the theme of the evening. Both Jim Alberti and Ann Feeney both passed very suddenly of COVID, and what better ways to honor them than to allow us to carry it on. People are singing Ann Feeney folk songs all over the world right now, and the notion of that flea circus going up to teach children about vaudeville is exciting to me. And what better way can we carry it on than to actually carry it on? My friends, COVID has been hell, and it's a heavy lift, and we all have to do it. And I want to thank Reese and Daryl for picking up the mantle and carrying it on for the Jim Alberti Flea Circus.
As a fourth generation flea circus operator, passing it on to Reese, he would be considered a fifth, either fourth and a half or fifth generation. The Fleas and I will work this out later. But Dardanelle says that you have to make sure her tank water is warm enough.
good to know.
Exactly.
I'm just happy that so much has been worked out. I don't have to start from scratch.
Exactly. And you and I, we can hit a breakout room later so that I can fill you in on some more stuff. But like I said, this has been incredible. Dad would have loved this, and
I know that he would.
I
had the opportunity to talk to him on Thanksgiving Day. I had actually thought that he had passed away. The School of the Arts actually told me that he had passed away, and I mourned his passing. And then Thomas Lima Bean from Australia, the juggler, who was our only mutual friend at the time.
Yes.
He got in touch with me and said, "No, Jim is still alive, and he's in an assisted living facility in Winston-Salem." And I started calling the assisted living facilities in Winston-Salem, and I finally got him, and I talked to him, and I got to show him the theater, which had already been named for him when I thought that he was dead. and he appreciated it. And when I talked to him about the flea circus going up to Portland, and he thought that it was a wonderful idea, and really encouraged it. And I appreciate you getting on board with that. Much love to you and your family. It's been the loss of Jim Alberti has been tremendous for me and the world over. He was a true legend in the world of vaudeville. Thank you to Reese, and thank you, Daryl, for allowing this to happen and allowing it to happen so publicly. And with that,
welcome,
it seems appropriate. Thank you, Daryl. It seems appropriate to run another little video of Reese Thomas in Jugglemania.
Look into the hippie disc.
And now, a trick from ancient India, where the Hindu mystics perform such incredible feats as bed of nails, ladder of swords, Microsoft tech support. Ooh. We have here a ladder of swords, 5 machetes, my friends, 5 machetes working together to form one salad shooter. I was doing that up in Canada the other day, and this guy goes, "Salad shooter? You Americans are really into guns." Now, the concept is simple. I will attempt to walk barefoot up this so-called ladder of swords. At the peak of this, I will juggle 3 juggling knives. Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, yeah, juggling knives, not real knives. Well, let me tell you something, people. It's not what you see today that matters. It's what you get to tell your friends you saw. Because you will see some weird guy walk on his stinky feet up 5 rusty machetes. A trick that should be called Stairway to Tetanus. At its peak, he will juggle 3 juggling knives. But you will get to Facebook your friends that you saw, a handsome artiste, ascend a ladder of swords barefoot, and at its peak juggle 3 actual scimitars. Your friends will be deluded into thinking you are cool. But you're not, because you Facebooked it instead of TikToking it. Oh, rookie mistake. For those of you wondering how this is done, it's a simple thing. You see, human skin is much tougher than you think it is, especially human skin that was raised as a barefoot hippie child outside Eugene, Oregon. A lot of hippies moved to Eugene, Oregon in the 1960s. Do you know why? There was no work there. It was perfect. Lager told me that one.
Why couldn't the lifeguard save the hippie? He was too far out, man.
All I need do is balance on these knives' edges, as though balancing on little tight wires thinner than violin strings. Should I slip, the cutting could begin, and I could end up half a foot shorter. You're probably wondering where you learned something like this, outside of Montessori school. I learned this from my Uncle Bob. Bob worked for Ringling Brothers. Bob used to drop by when I was a kid, take off his shoes and say, "This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home." That was it. He was short a couple piggies. All right, I gotta pull this off. There's a lot riding on this. Fleas. The ladder of swords. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with Jugglemania.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Reese. That was amazing, and the way in which our worlds overlap, and it always admire or thought about a vaudeville show that she wanted to put together, combining political activism and vaudeville. But that art that you do it's entertaining, it's wholesome, and it's real, and it's a tradition. And I am so thrilled that the flea circus will be going there. I going to try to do this, and I don't really have a segue, but I should. But I do know that we will we will indeed be going back into the world of make-believe as vaudeville creates through the city of Pittsburgh. And we will be going once again into picture. But I want to read this. I wrote it yesterday, and I'm having to read it off of a tablet because quite candidly, the printer crapped out on me today. Don't mourn, organize. That's what Joe Hill said. For most of Anne's life, her strength has been my strength. And to say that I loved her would be an understatement. She is likely the reason that you and I know each other, the reason that you were even in this Zoom performance. The reason that you and I have bonded since we met is our commitment to somehow, some way, and by any means necessary, stand upon the long arc of the moral universe and use it as a trampoline to assure that it continues to bend towards justice. Her roots remain in the earth from whence they came and to whence she will lie. Her grandfather, William Patrick Feeney, used his violin as a tool to organize mine workers. I have no doubt that her grandchildren will do the same. May her lifelong commitment to change serve as an inspiration for us all. But her life is so big. From anti-war rallies in the 60s, armed with a cannon of Phil Oakes, to being hip deep in every labor struggle of her time, up to and including her dying day, where she sang, "We are nursing as fast as we can," as her dying breath. Her insistence that we all use our art to drown and extinguish the fires that threaten us was evidence in her sleeves rolled up service to countless struggles, from organizations like the School of the Americas Watch, now Students Against Sweatshops, Mountaintop Justice, and of course the AFL-CIO, to individual struggles, all way too many to list. But let me tell you, if it happened in the last 69 years, Anne Feeney was a part of it. Her insistence that we all use our voice, our art, to drown and extinguish the fires that threaten us was evident at the People's Music Network, the Great Labor Arts Exchange, and the Western Workers Struggle, Western Workers Songs of Freedom and Struggle, all art groups that use the power of labor and art. Fear a movement that sings, she insisted. She brought that powerful voice to popular culture as well. She would take it to the Oregon Country Fair, the High Sierra Music Festival, and of course, the Kerrville Folk Festival, where she was awarded New Folk Award early in her career with political songs, and ironically and poignantly, the first musician to do so in that conservative Texas Hill Country. Take the music to where it needs to be heard, she would say. She brought me to that festival. Take the music to where it needs to be heard. I recall her singing to the working staff there, of which she was a part. She was a volunteer there. And I remember her singing the Internationale, and a small handful of cowpokes listened to her with their Stetsons tilted like the Victrola dog. Until a Hispanic delivery man stepped up and sang the words in Spanish. A German tourist stepped up and offered it in German. A Swede, an Israeli, and even, yes, a camera-toting tourist offered a verse in Japanese. They all sang the Internationale in different languages. And she medleyed the song into Solidarity Forever. And before she was done, she had the entire ranch singing, "The union makes us strong. Take the music to where it needs to be heard," she would say. "Conflict the afflicted and afflict the comfortable," Mother Jones said. And I want to thank you all for all of the comforting words that you have sent to me and the rest of her family, including Kimberly, who has helped me so much in this show. Kimberly, if any of you don't know, is Anne's niece and my partner. As you know, I had a decade-long shotgun seat view, crisscrossing the country in jalopies made of passion, from picket lines in the rain to literally tear gas in the streets. She was there. Her life is so, so big, it will take all of us to carry it on. As Pete Seeger sang with her, "Carry it on." And may we carry it on. It is a heavy lift, but together, all of us together, we are strong. It will take all of us. My friends, a giant has fallen, and we must all now stand upon each other's shoulders, megaphone in hand, as we announce to the world, from this vantage point, we can indeed see that the arc of the moral universe is actually bending towards justice and Fini Presente. At this point, I would like to ask Brian to play a video of Ann and I performing together. And I don't even know when. It was in Calgary, but I found this video and I thought it seemed appropriate to play. Thank you.
Please welcome Ann Feeney and Chris Chandler.
Will I be needing this tonight? Tomorrow, maybe? You can never be too sure of that.
Would all the police officers in the audience please stand up and introduce themselves?
In times of great crisis, the world looks to great leaders. Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt. But who do we in the States get? Well, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. This is a visit to Six Flags over Mecca. And the rides in this theme park are very, very dangerous.
She flies through the air with the greatest of ease. A beautiful girl on the flying trapeze.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a genuine carnival of old. We have cabinet freak shows and foreign policy roller coasters, multinational corporate clowns, and phony media hype men pitching a rigged game that promised something of value, but was impossible to win, leaving us to choose the cheap prize that no one really wanted. Forrest W. Gump, a tiny stuffed buffoon standing on the trophy shelf to the extreme right of his father, Ronald Reagan, and Richard Nixon.
Hey, you with the red checkered hat on,
show. We return visit from many members of the original cast. We have Dick Cheney as Elmer Fudd, Donald Rumsfeld as Yosemite Sam, and in his last performance, Jesse Helms is still just plain goofy.
For tonight's performance, the role of Clarence Thomas will be played by Al Jolson.
Sean John plays Pluto, Mickey Mouse's kinder, gentler lapdog who seems to have lost or maybe never had any genitalia. This show once featured Ronald Reagan as a marionette for big business, but now the same guys had their hands stuck so far up the tight rectal sphincter of George W. Bush, they can operate this guy like a hand puppet.
Take a peek behind the red door, for only a buck and a half.
Step right up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a shell game. At the astonishing Ashcroft asked you, which rock is Bin Laden hiding under? As you stand there mesmerized, you find your pockets have been picked and your civil liberties disappear before your very eyes. Cheap carnival hucksters cash in with t-shirts that say, God bless the USA. You were made in sweatshops in Bangladesh, a Muslim country, while CNN asks, why do they hate us? Meanwhile, our whole culture has grown so distorted, it can only be viewed from the funhouse mirror. Ha 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 ha. But these days, when we look in the funhouse mirror, our reflection seems normal. For instance, our president claims that we were attacked because we are the beacon of hope and opportunity. It has absolutely nothing to do with our desire to turn the world into a shopping mall, and our response should be to go out and buy more stuff. New flag for your SUV, $19.95. New SUV, $40,000. Looking more patriotic than your neighbors? Priceless. The way to make America safe from attack is by turning us into the kind of fascist police state that would fool the terrorists into thinking that this is Afghanistan. But if you really like the House of Mirrors and you want to bomb everyone who's ever trained or funded Osama bin Laden, George, perhaps you should start with your dad. Disneyland. This will show that we are truly the superior culture. Our mighty department stores and strip malls will homogenize every speck of variety, so the only sense of innovation left to us is new and different ways to export super-sized blandness to every possible corner in the global theme park. Or we could have the Hard Rock Cafe, Islamabad. At the food court, we may have trouble convincing Mexicans just what a Chalupa Supreme really is, but Taco Bell, it's the people's taco. Registered trademark. But that's nothing compared to the McMuslim burger, a samosa with cheese, McWhoop and mouth disease, and KFCIA.
The bright lights make you dizzy as the big wheel spins you around. You can almost smell the heavens till the big wheel brings you down.
Yes, indeed, it's Forrest W. Gump, dressed as a stuttering Wyatt Earp in a bad Ronald Reagan Western, stealing all of Ronald Reagan's best lines. We're gonna smoke them out. Wanted, dead or alive. You're either with us or you're against us.
How long do you think this war might last?
You're either with us or you're against.
I'm not sure I get it. What do all these tax breaks for the rich have to do with the war on terrorism?
I said you're either with us or you're against.
Do I have to have a cavity search every time I go to the airport?
It's like a mantra or a sing-along, being sung by Disney-like mechanical heads of states operated by the wonderful Wall Street Wizards of Oz. Pay no attention to that corporation behind the flag.
It's true to the end. Of powers
the American people, public opinion polls now show us generally divided between the patriotic and the jingoistic. 15% say that the ability to find Afghanistan on a globe should not be a requirement for the commander-in-chief as long as we bomb someone. 23% saying that failure to display a flag that does not cover the entirety of your house, lawn, and 2/3 of the sidewalk is signs of militant Islamic tendencies and is grounds for deportation, internment, and in truly egregious cases, that person should be forced to watch a Lee Greenwood concert.
Well, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I think I'm free to get 6 miles a gallon in my brand new Jeep Cherokee, and I will stand up and kick your ass if you're different than me. God bless them old United States. I love my SUV.
From Opryland, USA to Euro Disney to the Sam's Club in Beijing, no matter how you phrase it, my friends, it still ends with the same old line. It's a small mind after all.
I hope all the good citizens of Calgary feel safer with police here from Medicine Hat. What are we doing with all the Ontario provincial police here? Why aren't they in Ottawa or Toronto? I think they're raising hell there too. But you'll be happy to know that we are safe tonight from an appearance by one of our favorite hell-raising songwriter performers, David Rovics. He's written some wonderful material, and he's certainly here with us in spirit tonight, and I miss him terribly. But when he got to the border crossing in Montana, after they had searched his vehicle, they found pamphlets therein advocating nonviolent direct action, and he was turned away at the border, so he's not here with us tonight.
How much applause she ever got, she always deflected it to someone else who was not getting the applause. David Rovics couldn't make that event back in the George Bush days, and God, don't they seem quaint. COVID has taken a lot of us. For me, the first one that it took was a sports hero of mine. I don't have very much sports gear, but my first sports hero was Tom Dempsey. He kicked the 62-yard field goal that shattered the field goal record. I'm a New Orleans person, and he was my superstar, and he died of COVID this year. He was the first one that passed. It was around April. COVID has taken so many of us. And this is a piece about a legend that also arguably died of COVID because he very publicly took his sports prominence to publicly get LED lights on timers. How about that? He very publicly, in his last act, took a COVID vaccine. His death was not related to COVID, but he was a sports hero of mine. And here to help me out with this, please welcome from New Mexico, Dan Byrne.
The only man I idolize more than myself is Henry Aaron. Muhammad Ali said that. And it ain't bragging if it's true. Yes, sir.
Henry sitting on 713. Henry always knows he's gonna be sitting on 713.
It was a long winter between 1973 and 74. Professional sports had not long been in the Deep South. And believe me, even having a professional sports team was big. Even if they weren't all that good, even if they did have trouble giving the tickets away. But we had one gleaming gemstone, Henry Aaron. When I was a young kid, the only crack of the bat you heard on a ball field in Atlanta was the Atlanta Crackers, the all-white independent franchise named for the sound a whip makes. And what's worse, they were good. The Yankees of the minors. Atlanta was proud of its team. But another part of Atlanta liked to call itself the city too busy to hate, which was really a slogan her largest corporation dreamed up. Coca-Cola did not want to tar her international reputation with racism and wanted a team to boost Atlanta's image in the eyes of the world. In the eyes of the world, the Deep South was still segregated, and no pro league would offer a team under those circumstances. The city of Atlanta was well ahead of the curveball on that front and managed to segregate just enough to bring the Milwaukee Braves down. But the face of that franchise was a black man. And he had been voted MVP when the Braves beat the Yankees in the World Series. And he was coming to the South. Sure, Jackie Robinson desegregated Major League Baseball, and I ain't taking nothing away from that. But Henry Aaron desegregated the South.
Don't seem right to me, Henry. You're that place, black boy from Alabama. Don't seem right to me, Henry.
Born in the heart of the Depression, but in the colon of the USA, Mobile, Alabama. No electricity, no running water, and don't you dare let the sun set on your head. He played in the Negro League as a barnstormer, where he was noticed by the Boston Braves and sent out to try out for their brand new farm team in Jacksonville, Florida. During spring training in the segregated South, he could not stay in the same motels, could not eat in restaurants, and he wanted to object, but he knew he was paving the way for those behind him, and any objection would only detour the path of inevitability. So instead, he simply knocked it out of the park, broke a minor league record, and he made the team. Wisconsin, here we come. Aaron was glad to be out of the South where he was born. Up in Milwaukee, he became an overnight superstar, becoming league MVP. And almost immediately. But then the team decided to blaze a trail to where no professional sports had ever been by taking the midnight train down to Georgia. Major League Baseball was whistling Dixie as the mighty M was replaced with the cursive A of the Atlanta Braves, the first professional sports team in southern USA. Henry Aaron, the only black player and the black face of the franchise, scheduled a meeting with Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy, and Andrew Young to discuss how to handle what was about to happen. And he was humble, saying, "I am just a ball player." But they knew he was as important to this movement as anyone, because they knew Hank Aaron had a hammer. And knowing how much bigots were inspired by him taught him to play better than perhaps he would have otherwise. And as a young boy from Stone Mountain, he became my hero. Now, part of the racial prejudice was because baseball might have been the king of sports, but the king of baseball was the Sultan of SWAT. You got to understand here that until Hank Aaron, there was nobody, and I mean nobody, that could touch the Babe Ruth. He was a white people's icon that none should dare to defile. He was baseball's Jesus Christ superstar, Spangled Banner. Headline reads, Babe Ruth is the greatest. However, in just 8 short years in the Deep South, he was daring to take on the great Bambino, and in 1973, Hank Aaron came just one swat of the bat away from tying the unobtainable, the all-time home run record. But the 73 season ended, and the Braves, as usual, were in the cellar with only one outstanding feature. Unfortunately, it was a feature that most white people, north or south, did not want to happen. Allow a black man to become the greatest. And in the offseason, Henry Aaron started getting death threats. Hate mail. Not just a few, literally tens of thousands. In fact, I give dollars to donuts that Henry Aaron holds the major league record of death threats. But not everybody hated Hank Aaron. No, quite the opposite. And if you follow this stuff at all, you will remember that when Hank Aaron did break that record on the first swing of his bat, on his first step to the plate, in his first home game of the season, 2 white kids jumped out on onto the stands and ran the bases alongside, cheering him on. They could not contain themselves. How could they? But let me tell you, I was one of those 2 kids. Unable to contain my enthusiasm, leaping over the left field foul line, sprinting on the field, feeling as much a part of the thrill of victory as if we had hit the ball ourselves. Running alongside Hank Aaron, the greatest of all time. Security later told us that we were lucky that we did not get shot. We were unaware of the death threats Hank had not let on to the public. You probably figured out here that I was not literally one of those 2 kids, but I was figuratively happy to be a part of a world that needed to be changed and was indeed changing before our eyes. A black man on the only team in the South passed the record that was considered to be unbreakable, and he helped to tear down the walls of racism, also considered to be unbreakable, and is still unbroken. And I hope that one day racism will be defeated. Today, our society lives, works, plays, eats, sleeps, and dies in segregation. Yet somehow we don't see that as a loss. Perhaps this is why our society, like the Atlanta Braves of my youth, is in the cellar. But in the cellar, we have one gleaming gemstone. The power of example. Hank Aaron retired from baseball in 1976, but he remained the face of the Atlanta Braves for the remainder of his days. But more importantly, he remained an important, outspoken advocate for civil rights, even stumping He was even out there stumping for the Reverend Raphael Warnock of the Ebenezer Baptist Church just 3 weeks before his death. And this is why Henry Aaron will remain indelibly chiseled on the Mount Rushmore of sports trailblazers that changed the world in need of change, alongside Jesse Owens, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Jackie Robinson, Colin Kaepernick, and Henry Aaron.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Kim. And thank you to Kimberly for helping me with the manipulation of the props there. Everybody give a round of applause to Kimberly.
Kimberly, go!
It is so great to be here at the 830 Club. I love this venue. This is a very new thing for all of us, but I think that Tim Mason and Shannon Flattery have the right idea of how to make this work, and I really appreciate all of their efforts. I want to no, I don't actually. What I would like to do is, because we are celebrating the Alberti Theater and all of the possibilities that exist. Could we please go to as one of my favorite words, our penultimate? Would you please run Reese Thomas once again, so that we can celebrate the vaudeville experience and the Alberti Theater going from Winston-Salem to Portland to be used as a tool to teach children about vaudeville. Ladies and gentlemen, Reese Thomas.
Hi, I'm Reese Thomas of Juggle Mania, and I'd like to introduce you to somebody. This is Stunt Teddy. Yay! Stunt Teddy is a bear devil. Some say he's the bravest bear devil since Evil Bo Weevil. I personally know he is braver than Hello Kitty. No, really, he is. We did tests. We did the double-blind test, the placebo test, waterboarding, and he is braver. We tried to get Stunt Teddy's name on his shirt, but all we could fit was stunted. Strangely, on the back we were able to fit I Heart Goldilocks. Aww. Stunt Teddy is going to do a stunt for you today. He is going to do the pillory escape. Yeah. In the pillory escape, Stunt Teddy is chained to a pillar and has to escape using nothing more than his escape artistry skills and his bare hands. Pause. That's long enough. Now, the problem is there's no pillar in the center of this stage, and so we had to go scrounging. We were able to find all sorts of fun things, including a cat scratching post. Can you believe somebody just threw this away? I mean, it smells funny, but still. Stunt Teddy is going to be chained to the cat scratching post. Yes, using a dog chain. We call it a dog chain, but last weekend at the rave, this guy called it my bling, come back. Yeah. This dog chain will be wrapped around Stunt Teddy, and then he will be shackled with a shackle. Stunt Teddy is going to do this without eye protection. We are going to pass the chain around Stunt Teddy's wrists, around the cat scratching post, back to the throat. Oh, Stunt Teddy, it's so tight. Can you still breathe? There we go. He's fine. He's fine. Tuck the feet under. And does that look good and tight? Or as they say in Germany, guten tight. Ja? Ja. All right, Stunt Teddy, this is your big moment, baby. If everything goes right, next stop, they tube. It's like YouTube without the genders, whatever. All right, Stunt Teddy. His record is 8 minutes. You don't think he can do it? I think he can do it. But I believe in him. He's my BFF. Bear friend forever. Unless he doesn't escape, and then he's my bear friend for leather. We could turn him into a bearskin rug for Hello Kitty's hunting lodge. Never party with that animal, I'm telling you. But this is going to be hard. I mean, first of all, he's an inanimate object, and that's going to slow him down. And second of all, I think he's scared. I do. I think he's scared because he's chained to a cat scratching post. And if you don't escape in time, you're going to get shredded. He did it! He's not breathing. He's not breathing. He's okay. He's okay. And strangely delicious.
Thank you, Reese. I needed that. Reese and I started performing at exactly the same year as Jim Hobbs, the namesake of this theater, and who proceeds from tonight's event will be going to, so that we can take his flea circus up to Reese so that he can start teaching children about vaudeville. Thank you for that. And it seems like a good penultimate, one of my favorite words, note to leave it on, because, you know, activism and performance, they are really linked. I think of Joe Hill and the Little Red Songbook, and the origin of the Little Red Songbook was that when they would go out and do labor demonstrations in the teens of the latter century, the Salvation Army, which was keen on keeping people poor, would come out, bring their full brass band out and play songs. And Joe Hill learned the entire repertoire of the Salvation Army band, and he rewrote the lyrics to those songs so that the audience would pass out pamphlets and the audience would sing along, allowing the band to back them up, using entertainment as an organizing method. And I love the idea of the flea circus going up to Reese Thomas. And my started performing the same year. Jim Hobbs, Reese Thomas, and myself, all the same. I want to leave you with a poem that Ann and I used to do very often, and a lot of people have given me requests for this poem over the past little while. It was co-written by me and Phil Rockstro, and attempting to fill the shoes of Ann Feeney is Michelle Sellers, and today is Michelle Sellers' birthday. So could everyone unmute, and we will all sing happy birthday to Michelle Sellers.
Oh yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
Love you. I love you, baby.
Will be from Eugene, Oregon, Michelle Sellers.
Let's go.
Do you remember what it was that we used to dream of when we dreamed of sea monkeys?
Across the evening sky, all the birds are leaving, but how could they know it was time to go? For the winter fire, I will still be dreaming. I have no thought of time.
I remember dreaming of the worlds that would unfold like the pages of Aquaman and Namor from Atlantis as I filled out the order form for those miraculous-looking sea monkeys in the pages of a comic book. But I wonder if that's the same thing that I wanted as I emptied the entire contents of boxes of Apple Jacks and Sugar Smacks into a large salad bowl in search of the prize at the bottom.
For who knows how my love grows? Who
remember filling out the order form for something called the Captain Crunch treasure chest, and then camping out by the mailbox, waiting on it to arrive. And I'll bet you I looked in that mailbox every day. And if it wasn't there, I would look in the bushes next to the mailbox, even in the drainage ditch, which ran underneath the driveway. And after about 6 weeks of this, my father, who was, trust me, not the kind of man to normally call a corporation to complain, did so. And they told him that they were just temporarily out of stock, and that the treasure chest would indeed arrive soon, restoring my hope for a treasure that never would arrive. But don't worry, I did get my prize. I remember where I was. I was at my very first box. I was at my very first circus with my very first box of Cracker Jacks. And as I was there sifting through those layers of caramelized popcorn, I was somehow oblivious of the sequin beauties which flew through the air and turned somersaults with no nets, and exotic animals which leapt through rings of fire. But I did get my prize. And as I was busy attaching that temporary tattoo of a butterfly to my arm, I was somehow oblivious of the magician that released an entire flock of butterflies from his vest pocket.
Sad, deserted shore, your fickle friends are leaving. Ah, but then you know it was time for them to go. But I will still be here. I have no thought of leaving. I do not count the time.
What I was dreaming of was a world where everything was possible, like Greeks who looked out across the horizon and dreamed of and believed in, a land of minotaurs and one-eyed giants that always existed just over there, just beyond where anyone could get to. We as children thumbed through and beyond the pages of a cartoon universe into a world of black and white ads, each ad containing a mystery, mysteries of decoder rings and X-ray sunglasses and green glowing stalagmites, and the most mysterious of all, the miraculous sea monkey.
For who knows how my love grows? Who knows where the time goes?
And I realized that I have not changed one bit, because I'm still looking for a prize. But these days, I'm looking in the caramelized pages of a catalog that boasts of an adult prize, ornaments for our corporate Camelot. And as I look through those catalogs, I find that nothing in there leaves me any more fulfilled than I was the day that I received that brightly colored package with a picture of the sea monkeys waving to me as they swam by, and I got really excited, and I ran into the living room, and I got a giant goldfish bowl, and I emptied its contents into this large goldfish bowl, and I watched breathlessly as these two larvae made their most un-sea monkey-like descent into the bottom of that bowl. But still, I think I'm missing something, because I keep looking through catalogs.
I look through catalogs of catalogs. I log on to catalogs. I log on to something called IGottaHaveMore.com, where I order Cracker Jack boxes from all over the world. I sit through mountains of caramelized popcorn, looking for the prize, staring at the monitor, but still missing the circus.
And I am not alone, while my love is near me. I know it will be so until it's time to go. So come the storms of winter and the birds of spring again. I do not fear time.
But all of this is not to say that a prize cannot be found. Because there was the time that I ordered from a catalog a pair of warm wool socks. Oatmeal khaki, I think they were. And I think that those socks contained my prize. Because it was in those socks that I discovered the ability to sit by the fire, eating a bowl of cereal, not looking for the prize, but instead gazing out the window at winter's perfection. And I wish that I could end this tale right here by saying, at that moment, an armada of golden spacecrafts arrived, piloted by a race of alien sea monkeys, bearing the gift of my long-lost Captain Crunch treasure chest. But instead, I find that the miracle is not in the miraculous. And through all this searching for the stupendous, the lotto tickets, who wants to be a millionaire, all I can say is, thank God we are not given what we want. Instead, what we are given is each day. And my friends, after a month like I've had, losing my best friend and my mentor, both of COVID, each day is surely a gift, a prize, hidden amongst junk. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Michelle Sellers and to Sean Shanahan and to Dan Byrne and to Daryl Hobbs and Reese Thomas for being here and making this a celebration of life. I appreciate it. I hope you will come to more of these. I do this every month on the first Friday of the month. And I really love the 8:30 Club. Give a round of applause to the 8:30 Club and to all of the people that helped make this happen. And my friends, thank you so much. I will see you on the first Friday of every month, the first Friday of every month right here at the 8:30 Club. And I will also see you every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the Poem of the Week. And the first Friday is always a full set with special guests. I'll see you at the after party. Please hang around and find one of the ushers to go to the after party.
Thank you, Chris Chandler.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, so